Thank you. My name is Rene Alvarez. I'm Senior Planner and Designer with Hsu and Associates Architects. And we were asked by the city to study the feasibility of constructing a garage adjacent here to City Hall to take care of some of the parking issues that you'll probably be running into now with some of the expansions that you're going to begin to see, not only with the entryway and then future expansion of the facility here. Looking at a 4 to 6 story parking structure, starting from 10th Street, moving towards, moving basically north from there, 300 to 400 vehicles, including retail at ground level, and integrating some dumpster enclosures for the establishments that are already there along the alley, including drive-through to maintain the connection between 9th and Massachusetts Avenue to get across, because you have cross-access now, and you'll also be using some of the parking that you already have, and include a pedestrian bridge that would get you from the garage over into the expanded City Hall eventually, and include enhanced architectural detailing and massing to be able to basically conceal the garage structure as much as possible to make it look more like a city building, not just a garage, and also be able to expand as necessary, and mostly that would happen toward the north in the future. I'm sure you're familiar with the site in general. It's just here west of City Hall proper, and basically what you see in the diagram, there's 3 phases that we've kind of looked at, but basically concentrated on phase 1. That's where the retail would be located, mostly along 10th and Massachusetts, basically. And then the rest would be parking, transition space, and the ramping to be able to come upstairs. You can see the position of the future bridge. Estimated now, since we don't know what the design might look like, but certainly being able to cross directly to the new facility there. The retail and the pedestrian bridge would enhance that situation and cross over that space.
From a site standpoint, just to touch on the existing infrastructure is there. You've got your sanitary running through the alleyway area. You've got water running along Massachusetts, so you're good there. You do have a high voltage line that runs what basically was in the formerly 9th Street right-of-way that we have to be very cautious of and avoid any impact to. From a stormwater management, we have an existing stormwater pond that everything goes to up in the north. There's room to expand that pond. And then from a landscaping standpoint, you've got your foundational requirements and your street tree requirements. The imagery is shown with the proposed improvements for the 10th Street, improvements for the landscape, so you can see how that relates.
Just to talk about a few of the features we were able to put into the garage, we have a dedicated accessible parking area right there on the ground floor right as you enter, have direct access over to that pedestrian bridge Renee was referring to, dedicated stair and elevator tower right there near the pedestrian bridge. People on upper floors can come directly down over to the pedestrian bridge and get over to the new City Hall expansion. We're keeping those people from walking through the alley and avoiding conflicts with cars with that pedestrian bridge. And it was a really great feature we were able to integrate into the design. We were requested by the city to provide retail and mixed-use spaces on the ground floor, which we've done. We actually played a little bit with the city ordinances to bump out that retail, create some interesting appeal of the garage, and kind of still get that parking on the ground floor. So we're very excited about what we were able to do there.
Basically, we went through and took a look at what the architectural effects would be here, and looked at first some regional examples that we've seen, the multi-story garages and how they have been basically decorated to give a different type of appeal to the street. We looked at historical local references and what we might find there, and we found that there's several arcades along New York, and we want to incorporate the arcade sort of feel also here so that the retail had an area of arcade in front of it, allows shade, allows for folks to gather, and also then articulates the facade by changing the volume a little bit of a straight facade. So we were looking at that. So we did a series of studies, these are some of them, to see how the language of that architecture could be modified along the way. We have several facades, different ways to approach those. And basically what we came up with for this particular study, and to be able to get some numbers for you, looking at the use of traditional materials and articulation, horizontal layering of the building, having a base, a center, and a top of some sort that's distinguishable. Also in the vertical bays, looking at creating some kind of rhythm that allows us to sort of understand that that is a building and not just a garage, and stepping back. So we did that basically on 10th with the arcade, and along Massachusetts by popping out the retail. These are just ideas that are conceptual to get the square footage that we're at. We or somebody that may come to work on this project will be able to develop a whole nother series. So this is really to see if this is feasible here on site. Along the alley side, this is where you would have the bridge that would come across, and the articulation there would be a little bit different because we have the ramps sort of on that side. But we were also looking at bringing in some green screen. There's the possibility of doing that as well to cover some of the facades, because it's very difficult to give the architectural character everywhere. You have to concentrate your architectural character in specific areas, and that's something that can be studied further, where really you want to dedicate those dollars to enhance the building itself. In terms of the volumes, this is a graphic that we pulled together to show sort of the future expansion of City Hall in terms of its size and location, and then the relationship of the garage and its size just to the west. And the little red crossover is the bridge that you see there, and then you see the pop out of the the arcade there on the south side of that facility. So this would be sort of the completed volumetric. How that is filled is still needs to be worked on, of course, from a conceptual standpoint. We had Clancy and Thays construction, as well as Walker Engineering, run estimates on what might be the conceptual cost for something like this. Again, this is based on the 6-level parking. So we're between 11.9 and 12.4 million. This, of course, needs to be tightened up. This is at this early level, we have a conceptual cost.